Welcome to Idaho Fishing Game's Hook and Bulletin podcast, your weekly news roundup of hunting, fishing, trapping, and conservation stories from around the Gem State. Hosted by Fishing Game's Public Information Specialist, Connor J. Lease.
And welcome back to Idaho Fishing Game's Hook and Bulletin podcast. This week we're talking about an EHD detection in the Idaho Panhandle, youth, veteran, and active military personnel waterfowl season kicking off this weekend, and how Idaho's spearfishing season came to be. But first, Brian Pearson in the Southwest region has an interesting article that just came out about why biologists have been closely monitoring Deadwood Reservoir over the past few years, looking for answers while making adjustments to prime the Kokanee population for a comeback. Deadwood Reservoir has long been the beating heart of Idaho's early run Kokanee program. For decades, its wild kokanee provided both a popular sport fishery and millions of eggs used to seed other waters statewide, supporting fisheries from Lake Pend Oreille in the Panhandle to Ryrie Reservoir in eastern Idaho. However, the kokanee population at Deadwood has struggled recently, both in terms of numbers and average size. Biologists have been closely monitoring the fishery over the past few years, seeking answers while making adjustments to prime the kokanee population for a comeback. On a positive note, gillnet surveys in 2024 and 25 showed a slight increase in kokanee numbers compared to the previous 2 years, although average sizes remained below objectives. Also, spawner surveys conducted this summer documented thousands of fish spawning in the upper reaches of the reservoir's main tributary. All this offers hope that the kokanee population is ready to turn a corner after several years of uncertainty. But even if that occurs, our staff won't be satisfied because something was different about this chapter in Deadwood's history, and managers want to know why. Here's Regional Fisheries Manager Art Butts.
The crucial unknown is why this population has responded to low abundance so differently and more slowly than it has historically. Finding an answer to that question could be the key to developing a sustainable management strategy for this fishery going forward.
Hold on though, let's jump back and look at the last 3 years. In 2022, record low catch rates during an annual gillnet survey rang alarm bells for biologists after there appeared to be a fluctuating population on a declining trend. What was particularly puzzling was that despite biologists observing fewer kokanee, they did not see a corresponding increase in fish size. It's well established that the classic trade-off with kokanee is fewer but larger kokanee or more fish but smaller average size. Despite Fishing Game effectively halting the collection of eggs to allow the population to recover, concern grew the following year. Deadwood's kokanee population had a history of recovering quickly after a downturn, but that wasn't happening. In 2023, fishery managers determined that a more in-depth evaluation was needed to understand what was slowing the recovery of the kokanee population and whether management could be changed to improve production and growth. Since then, fisheries biologist Tim D'Amico and his crew have examined several factors that may be influencing the change in kokanee population dynamics in Deadwood, including predation, food-based limitations, and water quality.
We're 3 years into this and collecting more data than we ever have at Deadwood. We haven't found the smoking gun yet, but we're still looking for answers.
Initially, plankton sampling in 2023 suggested that the kokanee population was limited by food availability.
Kokanee feed exclusively on zooplankton, and the zooplankton community looked pretty dismal when we sampled it back in 2023. When we repeated that process in 2024, the picture looked a lot less bleak, but it's still not great.
In 2023 and 2024, sampling at Deadwood also included kokanee gillnets, predator gillnets, and water chemistry analysis. Fisheries staff examined the stomach contents of rainbow trout and landlocked Chinook salmon and did not observe much kokanee predation.
While there's undoubtedly some kokanee predation in Deadwood, we can say with confidence that it's not the driving factor.
Water chemistry samples were submitted to 2 different laboratories for analysis. The takeaway from both labs was that Deadwood was a very sterile water body, which wasn't surprising. Most of the upper Payette River watershed has low nitrogen and phosphorus levels. These nutrients form the basic building blocks of the food web. For both water chemistry and zooplankton, what biologists were missing was context.
We just don't have quality data over a long period of time to know what normal looks like for Deadwood.
This year, biologists are continuing to collect water chemistry and zooplankton samples from Deadwood Reservoir. Over time, the data they collect will help provide some of that context. Biologists are also investigating another potential factor this year, the survival of young kokanee. They are deploying water temperature sensors to better understand kokanee development timing and outmigration from tributaries to the reservoir. This could provide insight into the environment juvenile kokanee are experiencing during a vulnerable life stage. Fisheries managers are not standing idly waiting for a definitive answer on what is causing the struggling kokanee population, because they're trying to provide fishing at a popular destination, not just solve a biological riddle. Our staff reduced the bag limit at Deadwood Reservoir from 15 to 6 kokanee and stopped collecting eggs from the reservoir over the past 3 years to boost natural reproduction. They temporarily ceased stocking rainbow trout and stocked 100,000 more kokanee fingerlings from eggs collected from another location in southwest Idaho to give Deadwood a little boost. Yet, despite these management actions, the kokanee population in Deadwood has been slow to rebound.
Based on our most recent gillnet survey, both the size and density of kokanee seem to be trending up, but they're still not where we would hope for them to be.
There are reasons for optimism, as mentioned earlier, but substantial uncertainty remains regarding the kokanee population in Deadwood. Early-run kokanee populations have acted erratically and declined without obvious reasons elsewhere in Idaho and throughout the West. The effects of a struggling kokanee fishery at Deadwood also extend far beyond its shores. It has historically been the primary egg source for early-run kokanee fisheries throughout the state, dating back all the way to 1986. Managers have not ruled out that there was over-reliance on it for egg production, but the reservoir has a long history of producing both a thriving fishery and a reliable egg source. The recent uncertainty surrounding Deadwood has prompted fisheries managers to explore alternative sources for early-run kokanee eggs to replenish hatcheries, including other existing fisheries and the development of a captive broodstock program. But that doesn't mean Deadwood isn't still important.
Meeting the statewide demand for early-run kokanee is a high priority for Fish and Game, and that will likely require multiple broodstock sources to meet objectives and maintain stability in the future. Deadwood is expected to be an important part of these efforts, and the recovery of this population and developing a sustainable management strategy for this fishery going forward are integral to kokanee management statewide.
Hit the link below to read Brian Pearson's full article on our website. All right, that's all we got on kokanee this week. Time to talk about EHD. In recent weeks, laboratory tests confirmed epizootic hemorrhagic disease and bluetongue virus in white-tailed deer in North Idaho. Deer from the Clearwater region tested positive for EHD, while deer from the Panhandle region tested positive for both diseases. Although the two diseases are different, they are closely related. Both are a type of hemorrhagic disease spread by small biting flies known as midges, which reproduce in and around warm, stagnant water. This summer's conditions likely created situations where midge populations boomed around limited water sources, leading to increased risk when deer gather at them. Hemorrhagic disease outbreaks occur periodically in the Clearwater and Panhandle regions, often during hot, dry summers like 2025. In northern states and other regions where hemorrhagic disease is less common, deer have little to no immunity to the virus. When outbreaks occur, they can be explosive and severe, causing high mortality in localized areas. The outbreaks tend to cycle, occurring every 3 to 5 years as herd immunity fluctuates, allowing deer populations to recover from hemorrhagic diseases quickly. It is difficult to estimate how many deer are being affected in Idaho, but the number of reports received is currently less than 200 in the Panhandle and less than 600 in the Clearwater. Outbreaks can generally be expected to continue until the cool, wetter weather arrives or after a hard frost occurs and kills the midges that spread the disease. Our staff will continue to monitor the situation. Idaho is not alone in experiencing hemorrhagic disease outbreaks. Reports of diseased deer are coming in across the country, likely due to the drought-like conditions of summer. Last thing I want to say here is remember, there are ways that you can help as well. Please report sick or dead deer online via the Wildlife Health Reporting page. Public reports are incredibly important in tracking the impact of hemorrhagic diseases on deer populations. For more information, contact the Idaho Fish and Game Panhandle or Clearwater regional offices, or hit the link below to read TJ Ross's full article, plus more ways to get in touch. All right, next up, here's how a local spear fisherman worked closely with the Fish and Game Commission and our staff to pave the way for additional legalized spearfishing. On July 1st, spearfishing for certain game fish in specific locations was legalized in Idaho. Before that, it was only permitted for unprotected, non-game fish species. The effort represents a strong collaboration between the public, the Idaho Fish and Game Commission, and our staff to expand recreational fishing opportunity. The proposal to expand spearfishing opportunity was first presented to the Commission in May of 2024. The proposal aligned with the state's fisheries management plan and supported existing management objectives, so the Commission and the department went through formal rulemaking to allow taking of game fish with spear guns. Then, regional staff drafted proposals for local waters focused on increasing harvest of game fish, which were incompatible with conservation or other fisheries management objectives. These proposals were shared for public comment, generating more than 1,000 responses, the majority of which strongly supported spearfishing. The Commission in May unanimously approved the new spearfishing seasons, which then took effect July 1st. Here's Commissioner Ron Davies' take from the July Commission meeting.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. I think that this shows the effectiveness and the willingness of the Commission to listen to input.
Recreational divers and anglers are already taking advantage of this new opportunity, including Dennis Hostler, a seasoned spear fisherman in the Panhandle region who played an instrumental role in working with the Commission.
My name's Dennis Hostler. I'm a resident of Sandpoint, and I've been here for 5 years.
Hostler now regularly dives Lake Pend Oreille, targeting walleye, lake trout, and northern pike, species Fish and Game manages for reduced abundance in order to protect kokanee, rainbow trout, bull trout, and cutthroat trout populations.
I wanted to continue diving and spearfishing, but at that time we were limited to non-game fish only. There's an issue with managing pike, walleye, and lake trout in this lake. We have the ability to help with that management. I was introduced to the commissioner for our area. He said, come down to the meeting and submit a proposal on this. There was a public comment meeting happening May 15th.
We had 7 people that testified in support of allowing spearfishing opportunity for game fish in lakes where we're trying to reduce numbers of undesirable game fish.
What we did as a group was went in and spoke to them professionally and courteously and said, this is what we have to offer. The ability to help you manage these fisheries in a very selective manner. And Fish and Game was receptive to it. They moved it to the legislature. Once it went through the legislature, it became law. So we went from May of 2024 to July of 2025, 14 months, and we were spearfishing.
On the process itself, Hostler added,
no place I've ever been or been involved in has anything like this ever happened before. Never.
Now, for complete details on current spearfishing rules, check out our website. And to see just how the Commission engages with the public, saunter on over to our YouTube channel and rewatch that May 2024 and May 2025 Commission meeting. That's it for major stories this week. Let's hit the rapid fire bulletin. Duck and goose hunting is among the coolest ways to introduce a youngster to the excitement of hunting. There's usually plenty of birds in the sky and the opportunity for a novice to experience the blinds, the decoys, and the dogs, all under the supervision and guidance of an adult. But you don't just have to be an overeager 10-year-old to enjoy the weekend kickoff. Veterans and active military personnel can also participate in the early 2-day hunt, which is September 27th through the 28th. Failure to leave evidence of sex naturally attached to a big game animal remains one of the most common violations detected at fish and game check stations. So, in order to help hunters, we got a video on our YouTube channel that walks you through how to leave evidence of sex and species intact on a big game animal. Hit the link below to check it out. Fish and Game will begin major road repairs on the Lucky Peak Trail of the Boise River Wildlife Management Area starting on September 21st. The road work is expected to take approximately 2 weeks to complete. Lucky Peak Trail has been closed to motorized vehicles since the significant rain event on August 26. However, during road work, the road will be impassable to hikers and mountain bikers. Fish and Game officers are asking the public for any information regarding a mule deer buck that was shot and left to waste in Unit 31 on the afternoon of September 8th. The deer was shot illegally with a rifle near Forest Service Road 008, also known as Mill Creek Road. The only seasons open for deer in Unit 31 at the time were archery-only hunts, and any weapon seasons don't open there until October 10th. A white pickup with a beige tan fabric top or shell was observed in the area, and officers believe its occupants may have additional information. Anyone with information that may be helpful in this case is encouraged to call Conservation Officer Ben Hurd at 208-204-3123, or you can dial up the Citizens Against Poaching hotline at 1-800-632-5999. That's all the news we have for this week, folks. Thanks for putting an ear to Idaho Fish and Game's Hook and Bulletin. If there's something on your mind, or if you got a question related to fish and game matters, feel free to drop us a line at podcast@idfg.idaho.gov. Again, that's podcast@idfg.idaho.gov. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll catch you next week.